Hello, this is a video on how to play the card game Hand. This is my second attempt, as the first time I did not have my microphone on, and so I do apologize if I seem a bit antsy, as I am doing my best to ensure everything goes right this time. Hand is a well-known card game in the Middle East, specifically in Kuwait. Hand is a game that depends on how well a person can simultaneously manage cards in their hand and count cards that are played. It can be played with 2 to 5 players. In a 2 or 3 player game, only one deck of cards is used. In a 4 or 5 player game, 2 decks of cards are used. In all cases, however, only 2 jokers are used. The main goal of the game is to create melds. A meld can consist of at least 3 sequential cards of the same suit. Alternatively, a meld can consist of 3 cards of the same rank but different suits. So, you could have 7 of hearts, 7 of spades, 7 of clubs, 7 of diamonds make up a value meld. You could have the 9, 10, jack, queen, king of spades make up a sequential meld. Jokers. These are the 2 most important cards in the game. A joker acts as a wild card and can be used to replace any card in a meld. A meld, however, cannot contain more than 1 joker. Specifically in this game, you get penalized for making mistakes. You do not get called out on it, and so make sure you know the rules properly. If you don't, you will get severely penalized for making a mistake. You can end a hand in 2 ways. You can signal a hand, meaning that every single card in your hand, with the exception of one, which will be played into the field to end your turn, is in a meld. So 14 out of 15 cards are in a meld, and you announce hand, right? You then score based on a variety of ways, and we'll talk about that. But essentially, a regular hand, right? 14 cards in a meld and a single card played into the field. A colored hand is when all the cards to be melded, in addition to the card played in the field, are of the same color. So either all diamonds and hearts or all spades and clubs. A suited hand is all the cards comprising the meld, as well as the card being played into the field, or a single suit. A joker hand is the same as any other hand, but the card to be played into the field is a joker. The double joker hand is the same as the joker hand. However, 2 jokers are left out of the melds and thrown into the field. So, you could either wait till the end of a round to announce hand, which is every single card in your hand is part of a meld, or you can announce melds during the game. So you can announce during the game, provided you exceed a certain threshold. So, in a 5-player game, you want to exceed 71 total meld points before announcing. In a 4-player game, you want to exceed 91 total meld points before announcing, as well as a 3-player game. A player that announces their melds can end the game if they get the necessary cards to complete melds. However, they score half of what a regular hand would fetch. The benefit is that the player that announces their cards would be penalized significantly less than players that did not if another player were to finish the game with a hand. As such, this is a very good strategy for someone who is leading in the score sheet. The value of the announcement is the sum up of the value of the cards in the meld. All face cards count as 10. So if you had a hand of 2, 3, 4, that would be 2 plus 3 plus 4 for a hand value of 9 points. You can only announce when a certain number of turns have been played. Usually this is 16. That is for announcing. Ending the game with a hand does not have any rules on how many minimum turns there should be played. So far, it's quite simple. You can end the game with a hand or by announcing, the objective being to get all your cards into melds. Remember, each turn you must draw a card from either the field, that is in the center, or from the stock pile. Then, to end your turn, you must play a card in the field. So, that's quite simple. That is literally all the rules, other than the scoring, but that is quite hard. Do note that you agree upon a fixed amount of hands to play before a winner is announced. The winner is the player with the least amount of points. In this case, we're playing till 9 hands. We're playing 9 hands. The player with the lowest score after 9 hands would be the winner. Now, that is quite simple, right? You just meld. You can announce, or you could wait till the end to declare. You must draw a card from the field or the stockpile. You end your turn by playing a card into the field. That is the basic gist of it. Now, here are some mistakes. If you announce with a total meld value less than the announcement threshold, you get penalized. If you declare a hand when you don't actually have a hand, you get penalized. If you use 2 jokers in a single meld, you get penalized. If you announce prior to the minimum number of turns, you get penalized. If you make an announcement without taking a card from the field, so you take a card from the deck and then you make an announcement, you get penalized. So now we are going to simply do a demo so you can really understand. We have 2 9s of spades here, but remember, even though we have 3, they must be of different suits to get them in a meld. What we'll do is we'll look at our 7 8 of clovers as well as our 9 of clovers. We'll put them in a meld. Then we'll look at our jack and king. We don't really have anything. This 2 of clubs is quite alone. What we'll do, we'll discard the 2 of clubs. We also have, actually no, we'll discard one of the other cards here. We took the 3 of clubs there, which will aid us. We'll discard the 9 of spades. So, why did I lose there? I took a card from the field and I didn't put it in a meld. That is also an additional rule. If you take a card from the field, you have to put it in a meld. Moreover, sometimes you also, in some variations, I believe this rule is on here. If you take a card from the field, you must not only put it in a meld, but you are forced to announce the value of your meld. And so, what we'll do here is we'll simply, well, we don't want to leave here, but we are playing with a very big disadvantage. What I'll do here is I'll stop and I'll restart. In essence, only take a card from the field if it can be immediately used in a meld, if you have met the threshold for announcement, and if 16 turns have surpassed. In other words, taking a card from the field is a last-ditch resort. So we are back, loosening some of the restrictions. We have turned off the minimum turns rule for playing from the field as well as announcing. And so most of the rule restrictions have been off. And so what I previously stated stands. In terms of the most basic rules, we are playing with them now, which are get your cards into either a hand, a meld, and play a card into the field to end your turn. Draw from either the field or the stockpile every turn. That is pretty much it. And there is a unique scoring system as well, which we'll talk about. But let us simply play, and you simply watch now. I feel like we have talked enough. So we can get this 2. Well, no. We can get this 3, 3, 3 in a meld. I do not know if I want to do that yet, though. So what I will do is I will So that restriction was still on here. In that you take a card. If you take a card from the middle, you must be prepared to not only use it in a meld, but also use it in an announcement. That is pretty much the only restriction. Other than that, the game is pretty straightforward. So we'll continue play here. I disagree with the restriction, and I know you are probably watching this and saying, that is not really fair. That is quite an arbitrary rule, but that is simply how it is. Now, we'll continue to play here. So we'll have to discard a card here. I'm going to go ahead and discard the Queen of Diamonds. Now we have the King of Diamonds. I'll go ahead and discard the Two of Clubs. So that Jack of Diamonds would be quite nice, but we do not have the Queen of Diamonds anymore. And so I cannot, and not only that, if I pick that up, I would have to use it in a meld, and then I would also have to announce it. So, is there a meld we can make here? Not really. What I'll do is, once again, I'll discard this Five of Clubs here. We have an ace. Not really useful, I'll discard that as well. Three of Clubs, not really useful. So remember, if you pick up a card from the field, you must use it in a meld and you must announce. So it's quite risky. This is just not going well for us at all. I'm doing my best, but it is not looking good. What we'll do is we'll discard the... So we have a 2. We'll discard the Queen of Hearts there. Have the 5 of Diamonds. We already have a 5 of Diamonds though. So this is just not going well at all. Nope, why did I do that? I could have used that in a meld. That is my fault. I took that 10. So what's going to happen now? Now I'm going to be forced to meld because I took a card from the middle. So not only do I have to be forced to use it in a meld, I also have to announce. So I just did this once more to demonstrate that you must only take a card from the middle if you can use it in a meld immediately, and if you have met the threshold of 91 points before you announce a meld. I mean, so only take it because you will be forced to announce. So if you take a card from the middle, not only do you have to use it in a meld, you have to announce. So make sure that you can A, use it in a meld, and B, that you have met the minimum threshold for announcing melds. Once again, we will simply undergo the loss here. So now I gained 600 penalty points compared to every other player who has 0. So I do think it is quite a dumb rule, but once again, it serves to further emphasize. In essence, simply play, get melds, or try to announce a hand. Announce only when you have hit the minimum threshold, and take a card from the middle only if you are sure that you can use it in a meld, and only if you have met the announcement threshold, because if you take a card from the middle, you will be forced to announce. and you must meet those. So now we're going to simply speed through, and hopefully you enjoy. Remember the emphasis of trying to avoid taking a card from the middle, because you have to meet the announcement threshold as well as use it in a meld. Those are both two very hard criteria to meet. So I highly suggest not taking a card from the middle. Here we'll discard this 3. Took a 7 of spades, which will be somewhat useful. What we'll do is we'll meld like so. We'll discard this 4. Queen of spades. We'll discard the queen of spades. We don't need it. Sometimes you'll draw a card and you immediately discard it because two of clubs will not do anything there. Oh, this king, if I get a queen, would be quite beneficial. It looks like what I'll do here. Remember, the value of the points in your meld is the value of the cards in your hand, right? And so aces are worth 11. All face cards are worth 10. The rest of the cards are face value. Aces are worth 11 if they're with either a rank meld or with a sequential meld in which they're played after the king. Aces are worth 1 if they're in a sequential meld, and that is like ace, 2, 3, 4 of that manner. We do have to discard a card, and it looks like I will go ahead and discard. No. The jack. Unfortunate. Why did I discard that jack? I have no clue. I meant to discard the other jack, but that's okay. Sometimes you have to discard stuff. 2 of clubs discarded. 5. The other player announced hand. And so every other player other than the other player gets penalty points. So I have 200 penalty points. Every other player also obtained 200 penalty points. Since player 2 announced a hand, they got negative 60 points. Let us talk about the scoring because we have not talked about that. So, if you announce hand, the winner loses 60 points. If it's a colored hand, winner loses 120 points. If it's a joker hand, the winner loses negative 120 points. If it's a suited hand, the winner loses negative 240 points. If it's a double joker hand, the winner loses negative 240 points. If it's a double joker colored hand, the winner loses negative 480 points. Players that didn't announce lose 100 points. Gain 100 points for a finish with an announcement. Gain 200 points for a regular hand. Winner. The players that didn't announce, if a player wins with a regular hand. For a colored hand, the players that didn't announce gain 400 points, as well as a joker hand. For a suited hand, the players that didn't announce gain 800 penalty points, with the same thing with a double joker hand. And players that didn't announce for a double joker colored hand gain 1,600 points. So if you announced, if a player won with an announcement, the other players who announced, their penalty points are the value of the cards in their hand, with the jokers counting as 20. If the winner is a regular hand, players that announced just double the value of the cards in their hand. If the winner won with a colored hand, then the other players that announced 4 times the value of the cards in their hand. The same thing with a joker hand. If the winner won with a suited hand, the players that announced multiply the value of the cards in their hand by 8. The same thing with a double joker hand. And with a double joker colored hand, the players that announced multiply the value of the cards in their hand by 32. So this is quite an extensive scoring guide. I will try to edit it in the video, but I might not be able to. Now, with that being said, what else is there to go over? Now we will simply continue playing cards, trying to do our best to form melds. This is quite hard. 5, 4, 5, 6. It's a meld right there. Then we'll get rid of these are all great cards here. Great cards. What I'll do is I'll meld the 2 because it's quite low. And I'll meld the... Which card? All the other cards are currently standing with each other, so I won't use my other joker yet. Simply continue drawing here. We can meld these 3 here. Then we have our 2 kings as well as our joker, and we have to discard one of these cards. What I'll do is I'll discard the... I'll simply make a meld here. Make another meld. I'll discard the 8 of diamonds. I'll discard the 4 of spades. So I'm only at 81 points. That's not good enough. I must hit the 91 threshold before announcing. I made a mistake in that you want to keep 1 card in your hand in a meld. There's no way to make a 2-card meld, and so I'm not going to have a card left to play in the field. This is quite bad. Oh no. No, I meant... Okay. So, you take those cards out of the meld. You can take cards out of melds if need be. What we're going to do here is we're going to get these 3 cards in a meld. Okay, so we're going to discard this king there. Okay, why does this keep happening to me? Okay, finally. So go like so. Then we'll announce hand, discarding the jack. Now we called hand. Now we score. Notice how we lost points there. That's beneficial for us. Based on what the other players did or didn't do, they gained penalty points. Now, once again, we'll play another hand here just to sort of show you the gist of it. Two. Now, we do have a lot of similar cards here. I'll get rid of one of the cards there. Wow, we have a good hand here. I'll get rid of the two of spades. So as you can see, you simply keep playing, like so. But that wraps up how to play hand. It's a somewhat complicated card game, but it's quite fun. I hope you enjoyed. I have been playing for about 2 hours now because of recording issues, and so I've gotten to know the game and have enjoyed playing it myself. Hopefully you enjoy as well. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more card games.